Ladies and gentlemen, we have Robbie, the founder of Omeda Studios, with a little game they're working on called Predecessor. Robbie, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
So I want to talk about Predecessor and how it kind of came about, because your story, I think, is a little unique in the fact that the way you gathered your assets isn't exactly how you start your typical video game.
Yeah, we basically came around after Epic Games decided to shut down Paragon. There was a small group of us who were extremely passionate about the project, about Paragon, that kind of had the technical ability to kind of build, I guess, games. I didn't think we'd ever get the true understanding of how complex it is to build a MOBA, but we thought, we could deliver something on that. So once Epic shut down Paragon and they announced they were going to release all the assets for the game to anyone developing on the Unreal Engine, we decided that we would give it a shot and see if we could kind of recreate that Paragon magic.
Basically, what's happened now is you guys just broke your closed alpha. I jumped in over the weekend, had a great time back as Chimera, something I never thought I'd see the light of day, to be honest. So to jump back in and have that feeling, what was the reaction from everybody jumping into the game for the alpha?
Yeah, I think we've had it's been overwhelmingly positive. Like all the feedback we've gotten has been, this feels like Paragon. This brings back memories. The game feels pretty much like playing Chimera feels like Chimera.
Yep.
So it's been like really positive, and I think that's all we really asked for, is like we wanted to bring back that feeling of Paragon, to the people that kind of miss it. And I felt the same as you. I was like, I may never be able to play like Murdoch or play Chimera, and it might sound kind of silly, but you definitely did have some sort of attachments to these characters, having played them for like hours on end. So just that feeling of being able to play your favorite hero again, and being able to give that to so many people, that was really cool. And the feedback on top of that has been just amazing.
What's the process like then, gathering assets from Epic to make your own version with Predecessor?
So they released a lot of the assets free through the Unreal Engine marketplace, so you can drop them into your game, but that doesn't really do much for you. Like, you can't hit play and now you're playing Paragon. There's a lot of work that goes into setting up the assets. For example, making Murdoch or Chimera, you get like a ton of animations, but the game doesn't know when you press this button what animation to play, how long the animation should play, should it do damage. The game doesn't know, so you have to tell it, I need it to do damage, I need these effects to play, I need it to interact with minions and heroes. So the assets are it's super useful that Epic have given them to us, but it's really that's 10% of the work done for us, and now we've got to complete 90% of the project. So it definitely gave us like a head start, but it still required a lot of work.
Now, how comfortable are you right now with the current state of the game, and what's the future plans for it?
So I think the alpha was kind of a good test to see what people felt of the current state of the game. I personally think there's always room to improve. I think we're at a good point where I feel comfortable letting people try the game, but I don't know if this is. I don't think we're at the stage where the game's ready for 1 million players, for example. I think we've got a lot of work ahead of us to really polish up the game. And we always say, getting the game to feel 90% as good, like getting it to 90% is the easy part, but getting that extra 10% is the hardest part. So I feel like we've gotten that 90%, and we really want to polish that last 10%, but that takes a lot longer than the 90%. So I think we're in a good state now. I think the it's pretty smooth. I mean, you played it as well, so you can probably give like an unbiased opinion. But I think it's pretty smooth, and I think in the next few months we'll be really close to a really polished experience, and then from there it's more about adding more content then.
Excellent. So are you looking for an early access launch? Is that the game plan moving forward?
Yeah, I think we would kind of hope to reach early access maybe end of this year, early Q1 of next year. And that would just be the ideal scenario for us to kind of get more feedback from people, have the game up 24/7, and really iterate, weekly like a lot of other MOBAs do.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Paragon was a free-to-play title on PC and PS4. Is that the game plan with Predecessor as well, or what's your monetary look into the game moving in the future?
Yeah, so we'd go the exact same route. I think free to play is really, the growth of like Fortnite, Warzone, and a lot of other
Sure.
games. I think free to play is definitely the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then in terms of monetization, we've released some of our own custom assets where we've redesigned like Murdoch, for example, from the ground up in
Saw
like his
that.
own skin.
Super cool.
And so yeah, so we would just monetize skins and various other things that MOBAs traditionally have, like emotes and um, whatever else they might have.
That's fair. What is the future of Predecessor look like right now?
So I'd say it looks positive um, but I think it looks more like, we want to hit like an early access within the next 6 to 9 months. From there, we want to really make sure that the core game loop is down. A lot of the key mechanics in the game, so like matchmaking, party system, ranked, and then also making sure that a lot of in-game content is in. So the jungle really feels more like a jungle. A lot of the stuff in the alpha was placeholder.
Mhm.
A lot of things we had excluded just to make sure that the focus was on the feel of the game. But early access probably has more focus on content. We want to make sure that the game feels a lot more interactive. Our item system at the moment is just stats mostly,
Yeah.
but we'll be introducing more effects such as like passive items, active items, to really make the game feel a lot more interactive and giving you as a player more choice.
Mhm.
I think that's the plan over the next few months for early access. And then once we hit early access, it's just about adding more content on top of that, like adding more heroes, maybe introducing our own, and really building out what Predecessor should look, and really starting to build out what Predecessor should look 2 to 3 years from now.
Is the goal with Predecessor to make Paragon 2.0, or is it to make it your own? And what's different between the two?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think for us, it's definitely to make Paragon, our own version of Paragon. Like
Mhm.
Epic had a vision for Paragon, we didn't necessarily agree with it, but it's like they've showed that there's definitely demand for a third-person MOBA, and now really we want to put our own vision. Like, what does a third-person MOBA look like? We've kind of got the outline of it, and now it's really for us to kind of, it's like building a house, right? They've given us the foundation, and now it's for us to decide how many bedrooms we want to put in it. What do we want the walls to look like? I think that's a really nice position to be in. And I think when we compare the differences, like what did Epic do and with their direction for Paragon, and why are we different? I think that's it's a tricky question to answer now, because the games probably to a lot of people look the same. But
Yeah.
I think our vision that we have for 3 years down the line probably looks a lot different to what Epic had. I think Epic had, maybe it might be fair to say, 3 different visions for Paragon. Initially,
I
it
would say
felt
so.
like, initially on Legacy, it felt more like a strategy game. And then, they switched to Monolith.
Yeah.
And I felt like it felt more like an action game and maybe a strategy game too. And then, they flicked the switch even more and went into Overdrive. And it just felt like an action game that happened to have a card system and MOBA elements.
Sure.
I think for us, we really want to hit that strategical action part. We think that it's great having strategy, but the advantage of being third person is that you can immerse yourself in the action. It would be like playing chess in third person if you just had a strategy game. Like, there's no point making chess in third person because you're just moving pieces.
Yeah.
But if the board was blowing up and there were tanks on it or whatever, and there was a lot more action, it would make sense to make the game in third person. So I think we really want to go for an action strategy. We have a vision where it's a lot more action and strategy, rather than being too much strategy and too much action. And then I think a lot of our focus would also be on, it took a long time for Epic to introduce like matchmaking, which ranked matchmaking, which I feel like in a MOBA probably leads to like poor retention and not great metrics, because inherently MOBAs are competitive games.
Yep.
So I want to play against people that are maybe not like try harding, but I want them to be trying their best because I want to win. If I'm playing just a casual game, you might have some of the players messing about, which may ruin the experience for me. Although everyone's entitled to do what they want, but I think if you're playing ranked, you kind of want everyone to be on their best. So we would definitely look to bring in ranked as soon as we can, as soon as we felt the game was in a more stable position.
That's fair.
And I think focusing on those things sooner rather than later would just help the game grow quicker, and then maybe from there we'll really look at like, what do our customers think, what do our users think about the game, and I think they help guide the vision of the game too.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, excellent. Now, one last question: who's your favorite hero?
That's a tough one. Are we talking about heroes in the alpha or just in general?
Let's go in general, because Paragon was rather large, and you do have all the assets and everything. So yeah, you have them all. Which one, Robbie?
I think Wraith was definitely my favorite. I think
Nice.
he's just a badass. He can shoot people through walls. He's got a nice long range gun, and he can go invisible. So I thought he was a pretty cool character design. He's definitely my favorite. How about you?
I am a jungler, so I'm in there with Chimera. But yeah, Wraith he was pretty wild too. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks a lot, Robbie.
No, thanks for having me.
It feels so good to be back. Oh, that was a really good game though. That was one of the longer games I've had. And that was really good.